David reached down and helped Johnny to his feet. Together they walked down off the porch, past the barn, and out into the pasture. Gradually, John began to speak about his addiction and all the temptations he had given into, not just a time or two, but for years. He told how he worried that his sin had hurt his testimony and might have caused others to fall. He talked about the death of his parents, a blow which had hit him hard, and how his brother had been killed in a terrible accident, and how he had carried the grief with him all his life. "I know that grief," David said. "One by one I lost my father, and then all 7 of my brothers. But for me the hardest was when I lost a son." "A son?" said John, shaking his head. "I got 5 children. Can't imagine what I would do if I lost any of them. Just go crazy, I guess." Then after a moment he asked, "What was he like, this son you lost?" "Mostly he was a rebel," said David, "always trying to undermine me. And mostly what we had was conflict. A conflict that went deep and lasted a long time. In truth, John, my son's disrespect hurt me more than anything else I ever faced. But I never stopped loving him." "Nope, you never do," said John. "No matter what." "So how'd you get over it after he died? How'd you make the hurt stop hurting?" "Well, in one sense you don't get over it," said David. "Not really, but you can get past it. First you must let yourself feel every bit of the pain. You don't ignore it or try to numb it. And each day you give the whole mess up to God and lay it down, as the old song says. "I'm going to lay down my burden." I know that one. We used to sing it in church when I was a kid. Easy to sing, hard to do. Seems to me I lay them down, then pick them right back up. "Yes, it is hard to do," David said. "Well, look at that," David said, and pointed at the sky. Both men stood still as a shooting star flamed above them on its brief trip across the heavens. "When we were little and saw a shooting star, we always used to make a wish," said John. "And what did you wish for?" David asked. "Oh, the usual stuff," Johnny replied. "Mostly I just wished I'd never have to pick cotton again." Both men laughed. Soon they came to an area of uneven ground. "Watch your step," John warned. "This part's pretty torn up." David slowed his pace, then seeing a long branch on the ground, he picked it up. With the strength of a younger man, he broke off the leaves and smoothed its shaft. As he used the staff to lean on and test the ground, it seemed like a part of him. "I've heard there are underground springs around here," David said, as they reached level ground again. "You heard right," Johnny replied. "Lots of them. There's one in these woods not far from here." He pointed to the line of trees off to their right. "It's my favorite spot in the whole world." "Well," said David, "we should go see it." Walking on, they left behind the starry canopy and made their way into a woodland thicket where the dry leaves rustled in the night breeze. Before long, they came to a place where a patch of black was visible not far from the path. "Is that a cave over there?" David asked. "Yep. Been meaning to take a look inside, but haven't gotten around to it yet." "I've been inside many caves," David said. "They are a great place to take sheep during a storm, and a great place to hide yourself when you're trying to escape from an enemy." "I hid out in a cave once," said Johnny, "trying to escape. Not from an enemy, but from life itself. I crawled in as far as I could go, and then I just lay down in that darkness to die. I was as far from God as I've ever been, but it turned out He hadn't left me. Alone there in the dark, I realized I wasn't alone. And gradually, a strange peace began to come over me. After a while, I felt the urge to begin crawling there in the blackness, without even knowing which direction I was headed. And after a long time, felt a gentle breeze, and followed it until finally I saw a faint light off in the distance. "You found the way out," said David. "You could say that," said Johnny. "But really, God found me." Walking on, they left behind the starry canopy and made their way into a woodland thicket where the dry leaves rustled in the night breeze. Before long, they came to a small stream. As they followed it, ahead of them they could hear the sound of gently flowing water, faint at first, but gradually growing stronger. Finally, surrounded by dogwoods and sycamores, they came to the source, a hillside where water flowed out from between the rocks. "It comes from deep in the ground and runs year-round," John explained. "On the hottest day of the summer or the coldest day of winter, it's always 58 degrees. I like to get up here as often as I can and drink from this spring. And then I just lay on the ground beside it. All I can hear is nature. To me, it's a little taste of paradise." After they had each taken a long drink, David said, "Let us lay alongside the spring here, where we can see the sky." And so together they stretched out on their backs and gazed up through the treetops to the distant stars. End Part 4.